Do you suffer from anxiety and depression? Have you ever tried CBD to possibly calm your nerves, calm yourself down, and use it in an all-natural way instead of going to the doctors and they send you to pharmaceuticals to get medications? Check this video out to get more information.
It's incredibly frustrating. So, Andrew, please go back to how you found out about Mark and what changes you made and what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well,
because I've only known you since you've been happy.
That's been a good run, man.
It's a great run,
Joe. But you know, if you lower cholesterol, Mark, it ruins all the hormonal production.
Correct.
Right, and so that's not understood. But so Mark found me. I looked into everything I was just saying. Went over, listened to that research, did my own research. Found out about the neuroendocrine system and ran it by my own people. And so I went and saw an endocrinologist. I was still in the Army at this time, and I was saying, hey, do you think that any of these problems were based off of the hundreds or thousands of explosions that we are around on a routine basis? He's like, no, I don't think so. And he was like, I was like, well, can we test and replace any hormones that I'm missing? Because, I mean, at that time we had done some tests and I knew that I was deficient in things. And he's like, I'm going to test you for anabolic steroids because I think the reason you're having these problems is you're abusing anabolic steroids. And if you pass the test and you prove that you're not on anabolic steroids, which will take about 4 to 6 weeks, then we'll talk about a replacement treatment program. And I was fucking irate, man. Like I told him.
He accused you?
He accused me of going to him.
A fucking doctor?
Because his levels were so low.
Yeah, he was like,
the only way you can have low levels.
He's like, I've never seen levels this low unless somebody was abusing anabolic steroids, and so you must be abusing anabolic steroids, and then you're here essentially trying to score drugs.
So he thought, if people don't understand what you're saying, when you take anabolic steroids, your natural testosterone shuts down. A lot of times when people get off steroids, then they'll go to a doctor, their natural testosterone is shut down, and they'll go to a doctor to try to get hormone replacement therapy. Because the only way a doctor is going to give you hormone replacement therapy is if your levels are low.
Right.
And so one of the reasons for having low levels is that you've put all this exogenous shit in there, and it's, your whole body's all confused.
Yeah, so thanks for clarifying that, Mark. Like I was like, hey man, you think I'm coming in here putting all this personal stuff on you?
Right.
Because I like to make things up.
Just because you want steroids.
Because I want steroids.
Or you want
like you think my
testosterone
life's a disaster, and I think this is funny, and like
It's just crazy that he would accuse you.
You know what I mean? It happened. It happened twice, Joe. Twice.
Well, it's
back to back.
They understand that there's other issues that cause your body to have low testosterone. I mean, that's what's crazy.
So this is what pushed us in this direction, man. So I was like, well, at that point I started reading some of the literature, and I was like, it's not even black. I mean, it's not even in the gray area. This is black and white. There's like blast trauma can, through inflammation, affect the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland and downregulate all these hormones. And so, anyways. So I link up with Mark in Southern California. We run the labs, but we don't get the results back for like 2 or 3 weeks. But he gives me what he calls a provocative testosterone injection just to see how I react. And like up until this point, man, like my life has just been a complete disaster. I mean, I've put a gun in my mouth several times and actually had thought about like, if this is how life is going to continue and I continue to have this type of negative effect on my family, I think I'll just end it, man. You know what I mean? And I got to the point where I was just like, I can't do it for my family alone, and just kept driving. So found Mark found me, got the information, actually was there to see him in his office in Encino, get that injection. I'm driving south on the 405. I'm in bumper-to-bumper traffic like 2 hours later, and usually, man, like me and traffic just didn't mix. And to say that I had a hostile temper was like the understatement of the year. And I realized like, hey, all of a sudden I'm cool, I'm calm, I'm collected, I'm not having any issues. I'm like, whoa, I don't feel any anxiety. Like for the last year and a half, I had this fist like coming out of my stomach, man, like at all times, 24/7. It was horrible. and it was gone. And I was like, if this is any taste of what could be, this is incredible. And I call my wife, and we have a conversation for like an hour. And that's the first time that we had talked more than 2 minutes in like a year, and I didn't just say yes or no, because I just wasn't capable of anything else at that time. And so fast forward for a few weeks from there, you know, he gets the report back, and he's like, hey, man, you're deficient in everything, you know, but we can fix this. And so we get on anti-inflammatory protocol, and we replace and replenish the hormones that are deficient or insufficient. And life slowly and surely started to turn back on, little by little by little by little, to where I'm at today. I'm off all medication. You know, I'm clean, I'm sober, performing as good, if not better than my pre-injury status. We started up an organization called the Warrior Angels Foundation to deliver this same level of healing to other people who are in the exact same predicament and situation. And now I'm excited to say, man, 3 years later, we've delivered it to over 200 people with incredible results. So it meets with the scientific criteria. We can predict, we can measure, and we can replicate. And now it's not just my story. It's not just Matt Gosney's story. Mark's done this like 1,400 times. We've done it 200 times through our organization, where somebody, like we did a 3-year TBI study, a cohort. We took 58 of those 200 people, just the ones that had attempted suicide. 58 individuals attempted suicide. We showed that within 3 months, they 91% had a 50% improvement.
Correct.
So almost everybody had at least a 50%. This is in their subjective analysis improvement. After 1 year, 73% of that population was off all medication. This is unheard of. This is unheard of. And this is people that actually attempted to take their own life, I think a minimum of 2 times in our study. So we're producing results that have never been annotated before. You know what I mean? And it's through the scientific model that Mark's come up with his protocols.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's on our website. We got all that research on our website too.
Give the website address out.
waftbi.org. But I got Mark's.
And it's on my Twitter as well.
Yeah, I got Mark's presentation. We got just an incredible media page, a library of all this information that didn't exist 3 years ago. It's now all in one location, and all the stuff that I'm saying here, please don't take my word for it. You guys can go out and fact check it.
And I can't tell you how many guys have come up to me after shows that have either been in contact with you or have been in contact with other doctors because of the information that you've given out, and we're so thankful. And they're like, you're changing people's future. You're literally giving them an option that they didn't know existed. Yeah. They thought their world was black, and then you open a door and like, oh, you can be okay.
When Andrew first came to me, Andrew wasn't the first veteran that I had seen. The first guy that I took care of was in 2009. He was active Green Beret in North Carolina at Bragg. And his wife, I knew, she was emergency room doc, and she called me up and told me about her husband getting ready to get less than honorable discharge after 4 or 5 tours of duty in Afghanistan. And she explained it to me. I said, let me send you a kit. So I sent a kit out, and we got the results back. I told her what to do. She put him on to treatment. He lasted another 2 sign-up tours or 2 tours of duty, and was doing phenomenally well. But the key that drives me on this is guys getting back into life, going to Pepperdine Business School now, a guy who was attempted school 5 times, and the 5th time he was on our protocol for 2 or 3 months. He ends up getting honors, and now he wants to go back and give back to the VA for them not having treated him optimally by going into sociology to try and help them to understand what he had gone through with us. We have guys who are in Wall Street now and
all over. I mean, Harvard Business School. I mean, just all kinds of very prestigious things.
They've got their life back. They've got their family back. They're recalling their parents.
And this has only been going on for a couple of years.
Yeah, we didn't give him a self-help book. We didn't give him any spiritual teachings, anything else. Just fix what was deficient, and they were able to come back and make their own choices to get their life back on track.
That is such a giant factor in this whole equation that people need to understand. It's not just about motivational speeches. It's not about memes that you put on your Instagram page that make you feel better about life. It's literally about the chemical balance in your physical vehicle. And if it's off, you're going to be off. And if it's off because of diet, if it's off because of injury, whatever the factors are, you got to figure out what those factors are, and you got to correct them. You got to correct them before self-help, before all that bullshit. Correct your diet, correct your whatever is deficient in your hormone levels, whatever's deficient in your nutrient levels. It's so goddamn important.
Absolutely. And I don't mean to, focus only on the neurosteroids and the inflammation, as you just said. Physical fitness and nutrition. My daughter Allison is naturopathic, and she works with us with the Warrior Angel Foundation to help with getting the gut-brain in sync so that you don't have the glutens, you don't have all the junk we talked about, because the poor nutrition generates more inflammation that passes through the gut into the blood, into the brain. And there was a study that came out of, it was on the BBC's last week, where they were talking about, we finally figured out that if you have peripheral inflammation like disease like lupus or rheumatoid arthritis, that the inflammation goes into the brain and can cause depression. Well, it's been in the literature for 30 years. They finally are starting to understand that things that happen on the periphery can affect our brain's functioning. So nutrition, very important.